So it's Saturday night, and even though the mid-month book bash is halfway over, I'm gonna start to participate right now. So I'm currently reading this book, The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett, and this one is really, really good. It's a novella about Queen Elizabeth, imagining that she took up reading as a hobby and kind of how that plays out in her life, in her duties, in her interactions with people around Buckingham Palace. And right now, the page that I'm on, page 50, it's really hilarious. Like, just imagining that someone who is as well placed or as well connected as she is, what it would be like for her to meet authors that she has been reading and being really entranced by their work, but not really being able to communicate with them, to communicate her love of reading, because either one, they're a little intimidated by her, or two, they want to prove that they're sophisticated beyond being intimidated by the queen, and so they kind of carry on with their own intentions regardless of what she says. So this quote kind of sums up that essence that I was just discussing. Authors, she soon decided, she being the queen, authors were probably best met with in the pages of their novels and as much creatures of the reader's imagination as the characters in their books. Nor did they seem to think one had done them a kindness by reading their writings. Rather, they had done one the kindness. This one is actually really interesting in the book. The queen refers to herself in the third person, the abstract third person, a lot. And that's very interesting just to kind of see how it plays out in the conversations. For now, I haven't finished this book, but I would definitely recommend it. Especially if you're intrigued by what the royals are like in real life. I know the queen is dead, but maybe trying to figure her out. What she must have been like while she was alive. I don't know. It's really good reading is what I'm trying to say. The Uncommon Reader. So my daughter and I are both participating in the summer reading challenge at our local library. We both have trackers. There's an adult one and a child one. And so I let my daughter color in both trackers. Can you guess which one's mine and which one's hers? Okay, how about the notes up there? Good job. So we spent the afternoon with my husband's mother. So no, I didn't finish my book, even though I should have. So we decided to stop to get some food for dinner. We stopped at Outback Steakhouse. The wait was too long, so we decided to have some Chipotle to take home instead. And it was delicious. Chipotle never disappoints. So I finished The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett, and this was truly delightful. We're reading about Queen Elizabeth and her foray into literature, and how reading impacts her daily life. Like, as someone who is so dedicated to duty and her appearances, that she now has to make time to read, and what that looks like on scale. And it's delightfully hilarious to see other people's reactions to it. Like, her family members are mentioned, but more so the prime minister. And then, of course, when she's read enough, I mean, I don't know if you ever read enough, but when she has read enough that she realizes how much she has changed and how she changes her approach to books and literature. Like, there are so many quotes in this book that speak to the experience that is unique to the queen. So here's a quote that I wanted to share with you, where she's talking a little bit about some of the things that she's done for duty, not necessarily because she wanted to, She says, one has given one's white gloved hand. Like I said, she speaks about herself in the third person. One has given one's white gloved hand to hands that were steeped in blood and conversed politely with men who have personally slaughtered children. One has waded through excrement and gore to be queen. I have often thought the one essential item of equipment, a pair of thigh-length boots. So I'm trying to get better at actually reviewing books on Goodreads, not just marking them read. So that was book number 74 for my reading challenge. And I spent a few minutes the other night going through my Excel spreadsheet where I record my reading and comparing that with my Goodreads profile. And so at that point, I had finished 73 books. So this is book number 74 of the year. My Goodreads records are now correct. So my next read is Elevation by Stephen King. So I am currently at page 18, and so I can now read the first couple of lines in the synopsis because I don't read synopses before I go in. So up to page 17 is where this has happened, where we're reading about a man who is losing weight, but he's not getting thinner. So we just saw his interaction with his friend, Dr. Bob, and the scale weighing, where he weighs the same whether he has on a coat filled with stuff or he is down to his boxers. I am planning a trip to Maine sometime in the next year or so, and Stephen King is probably Maine's most famous export, especially in the literary world. So I feel like now is the time to get into one of his books, reading this, and I'll check in when I'm done because I assume that I'll be able to finish this today. I need to finish this today. I only finished 2 books in 2 days. Only. It's a celebration to finish 2 parentheses short books in 2 days, because no matter how short the books, how often do I finish 2 books in 2 days? The goal was to finish 3 books in 2 days, so I'm going to keep going because Doris, the Mid-Month Book Bash, has inspired me to keep going. So I'm going to end this vlog with this clip, but I'm going to start another one. The 2 books that I finished, I have to tell you about them, but first, here are the books that I currently have on the go. I did a check-in. I'm buddy reading this one with Patrice Jones, and I did a check-in last night. I have another chapter that I'm going to check in with her on this morning, and I'll be finishing this one in August. So this is going to be a book that I can count towards my 30 and 30 challenge, my 30 and 30 attempt. So that's The Puzzler by A.J. Jacobs. I'm also buddy reading this one with Sherry, and I read a couple of chapters in this last night. So I'm going to be checking in with her, and so this is not a book that I'm going to finish in one sitting, but I will be reading it over the course of the month, maybe extending into September, but it doesn't matter. So this is Brother Man by Roger Mays. This is a Jamaican author that started reading some time ago and just didn't finish this book, so restarted it. Then I picked this one up last night. I was going to start it. This is The Maltese Falcon by Dashiell Hammett, and this is crime fiction. So as much as I wanted to start it last night and maybe even read it in its entirety, it's a little over 200 pages. But I was like, crime. Do I want to read crime all night long? Probably not. So I decided to put that down for today. So those are the 3 books that I have that I'll be reading soon. These are the books that I have finished so far this month. I'm pretty excited. I'm behind in my schedule, but it's okay. I'm going to get a lot of reading done today. That's the plan. That's the goal. I told you about The Uncommon Reader by Alan Bennett, how acerbic the queen comes off in her conversation, especially in the latter part of this book. Loved it. And there are some quotes in here, some passages in here about reading and how literature figures into our life that I want to keep. And so even though I'm not buying books, I'm adding this to my list of books that I want to own when I start buying books again. I want to reread this, and I want to do a challenge from this book, so we'll talk a little bit more about it, I think, in another video. So then I read this one yesterday, Elevation by Stephen King, and I have avoided Stephen King because I thought he wrote horror, and this is speculative fiction, I suppose. It's not sci-fi specifically. It's more speculative. And so it's a short book. It's only 140 something pages, and the book itself is pretty small. So this was an easy read. I read this in a day when I was having discourse with my toddler, because she only wants to eat what she wants to eat, and I was like, no, we're not doing that. You're going to eat what I provide. And so we had a whole time of it. The eating kind of came up because in this book we're reading about a man who is having some issues with weight, that regardless of how much he eats, his weight is declining. As he loses weight, he's not just losing mass weight, he's not just losing the physical property weight, he's also no longer being weighed down by some of the things that may have kept him moored to this life. And he's also using that weightlessness, or that freedom from the restriction of weight, to also release other people. So releasing other people from prejudice, whether they practice prejudice or they were being victims of prejudice. And I love that there's a moral tie into the story, which made it a really pleasant read, even though it's supposed to be kind of a horrorful or harrowing book. So this is my review that I posted on Goodreads. You could see it right here. And so yeah, these are the books that I read over the course of the last 2 days, and I have lots more to share with you in my bookish world. Books that came in, books that were gifted to me from publishers, books that I hauled from the library, and lots of other things to share with you in the upcoming videos. So please come back, check in with me, see how I'm doing with my 30 and 30, and see how I'm doing with my Run Right Reads Summer Reading Challenge. And yeah, let's chat about all the things bookish. Would love to know how your reading is going, what you've been reading this week. If you have participated in the mid-month book bash with Doris from Aldi Books, let me know about that so I can cheer you on as well. So thank you so much for watching this video. We'll be back soon with another one, and until we come back for that next video, happy reading. Bye.